The blonde in the mirror. Have you ever looked in a mirror and felt something strange? As if, for a brief moment, that reflection wasn't just a copy of you, but something more? Today, I'm going to tell you a story that crosses generations. The legend of the blonde from the mirror, a story of revenge, mystery, and a dark pact. Get ready, because maybe, just maybe, she's watching you now. They say it all started a long time ago, in a high school, where a young student was often the target of teasing. Her name was Carolina, a shy girl with straight blonde hair, but who was hiding a secret. Carolina was an orphan and carried in the chest the pain of a dark past. Her colleagues nicknamed her the Blonde and constantly persecuted her. On that fateful day, the jokes took on a cruel rumor. They locked her in the bathroom, laughing while Carolina begged to come out. Time passed, but the laughter turned into silence. When I finally opened the door, Carolina fell, lifeless, next to shards of a broken mirror. After the tragedy, the bathroom was closed. But rumors spread. Some students said they heard suggestions coming from the mirror. Others swore they saw reflections that shouldn't be there. And then, the stories began to circulate. Carolina never left. The legend was born, the blonde in the mirror. According to legend, if you are in front of a mirror, in a dark environment, and repeat the name blonde in the mirror 3 times, she will appear. But be careful, she does not come in peace. She carries with her the anger of a life cut short and the thirst for revenge against those who dare call her out. In the following years, many wanted to invoke the blonde, but few left unharmed. One report tells of a boy, Raphael, who performed the ritual as a joke. He turned off the lights, faced the mirror, and repeated the name 3 times. At first, nothing happened. He laughed with his friends, but when he turned on the light, Raphael saw a woman with messy hair and empty eyes, with a macabre smile. He screamed, but when his friends arrived, the mirror was intact, and Raphael was in shock. He was never the same. Would you have the courage to try? Would you be willing to turn off the lights, face your reflection, and call out to her? Maybe you think it's just a legend. Maybe you're right. But what if it isn't? Stories like the blonde in the mirror exist in many cultures, but they all have something in common: the fear of the unknown. Mirrors are portals to something we don't understand. Could it be that, by looking too much, you could see beyond what you should? The curse of the werewolf. There are legends that have been passed down through generations, whispered by the fire, scaring children and adults alike. But what if these stories are not just fiction? Today, you will learn the frightening story of a small village forgotten by time, where an ancient curse comes to life on nights of the full moon. The village of Silverwood was known for its tranquility, but also for the fear that arose with each cycle of the full moon. Long ago, a terrible curse was cast upon the region. They say that on nights like these, the devil himself walked the woods, in the form of a werewolf. John was a simple boy, who lived off hard work in the forest. He always disdained the village legends, thinking they were just stories to scare children. But that night, John discovered that not all legends are just stories. And it was there, under the silvery light of the moon, that John saw it. A huge creature, half man, half wolf, with glowing eyes and sharp fangs. Then John screamed, "My God, what is that?" No one would believe what he saw, but John knew that if he didn't run away, he wouldn't live to tell the tale. John runs desperately through the forest, while the werewolf chases him. John takes refuge in a cave. The werewolf stops outside, growling. As the monster howled outside, John remembered something he had heard from his grandmother: a werewolf carries a human curse. If you heard it, the monster will reveal its true form. Inside the cave, John finds a rusty, pointed piece of iron, and then he decides to face the beast. John realizes that the werewolf has his back to him and then decides to attack him. He manages to stab the piece of iron, and thus wounds the werewolf, who lets out a deafening howl and transforms into a man known to the village, the blacksmith Jose. John, astonished, says, "Jose, is that you?" "It can't be." Jose responds, I didn't want to hurt anyone. This curse is a punishment for something I don't even remember doing. But you need to decide what to do now, John. Kill me or help me." John was torn. He knew that if he spared Jose, the village could continue to suffer. But at the same time, fear and compassion fought within him. John makes his decision and decides not to kill Jose and helps him out of the forest. The two return to Silverwood, where Jose disappears into the forest at dawn, promising never to return to the village. And so, John returned to the village, carrying the weight of a secret he could never share. The werewolf has not returned since, but the forest of Silverwood still bears echoes of that terrible night. The Cursed Doll. There are objects that carry stories, and there are those that carry curses. This is the story of a cursed doll, an item so dark that it turned the lives of everyone who crossed its path into a living nightmare. Today, we will tell the story of Abigail's doll. In a small town in the middle of the United States, there was an antique shop known for its unique and often strange pieces. Among these pieces, hidden at the back of a shelf, was a peculiar doll. It had glass eyes that seemed to follow everyone who passed by, tangled blonde hair, and a faded blue dress. Its name? No one knew for sure, but local stories called it Abigail's doll. The doll is said to have belonged to a girl named Abigail. She was the only child of a wealthy family in the 19th century. Abigail was a lonely child, finding solace only in her favorite doll. But her life was tragically cut short when a fire ravaged her mansion. Abigail was found hugging the doll. Her last words whispered to her father were, "Never let anyone take you away from me." Ever since that day, it has been believed that Abigail's spirit was trapped inside the doll. The family, devastated by the tragedy, decided to get rid of the doll. However, with each attempt, it always found a way to return. First, when it was given to distant relatives, it mysteriously appeared at the door of the old mansion. Then, when it was thrown into a river, it floated to the shore near the property. It was as if something eternally linked it to that place and to Abigail's memory. Decades later, the doll mysteriously reappeared at an auction. The buyer, a collector of peculiar objects, brought it to the antique shop. However, since its arrival, strange things began to happen. Customers reported feeling chills when passing by the shelf where it was. Some heard whispers that seemed to come from the doll itself. There were rumors that the doll caused strange dreams in those who spent too much time near it. Dreams in which a pale girl, with sunken eyes and a singed dress, held out her hands as if asking for something. Many reported waking up sweaty, with the feeling of being watched, even in their own homes. The events became more intense. The owner of the antique shop began to notice that the doll would change positions during the night, as if it had a life of its own. One night, he heard footsteps coming from upstairs, where no one should be. When he went to check, he found the doll sitting on a table, staring at him. From that moment on, he knew something was deeply wrong. In another incident, a visitor to the antique shop tried to take a picture of the doll. The camera, however, stopped working, and when he restarted it, the captured photo showed a fuzzy shadow behind the glass. The man swore that no one was there at the time of the photo. The doll seemed to attract and repel people at the same time, as if it had a consciousness of its own. In an act of desperation, the antique dealer tried to sell the doll to get rid of it. But every time he tried, the buyer would give up, saying that something seemed wrong. In his last attempt, he decided to bury it in a vacant lot. But the next morning, when he opened the antique shop, he found the doll back on the shelf, as if it had never left. The situation became untenable. The owner began to fall ill, reporting feeling a constant presence around him, even in his own house. He decided to close the antique shop and never returned. The doll, however, remained there, alone, as if waiting for something or someone. To this day, no one knows for sure how the doll came back or what really happened to Abigail. Some say she is still in the antique shop, waiting for her next victim. Others believe that she disappeared again, ready to reappear when least expected. What about you? Would you dare to look into the eyes of Abigail's doll? Did you like this terrifying story? Then be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Here, you will find the scariest and most mysterious stories that will give you goosebumps. And remember, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos. Who knows, maybe the next mystery will be even scarier. See you in the next one.